Okay, picture this.
Yeah.
You step into a digital world, right? But it's not just, some pre-scripted thing. It actually reacts to what you do. It
Okay.
changes based on your choices, remembers what you did, all in real time. Sounds like sci-fi. Yeah.
It really does.
Well, today on the Deep Dive, we're diving into something that's bringing us incredibly close to that future. It's called Genie 3 from Google DeepMind. And our mission today, basically, is to unpack how this thing works, what amazing stuff it can do, and really why it's such a huge deal.
Yeah.
Especially if you want to get up to speed on cutting-edge AI, like fast. This is way beyond just watching a video.
Right. It's about experiencing it. And what we're fundamentally talking about here is a general purpose world model.
Okay, world model. Break that down a bit.
Sure. Think of it as an AI system that builds its own understanding of how a world operates, how things work, cause and effect.
Uh-huh.
And then it can simulate parts of that actions affect everything. But the general purpose part is key here, meaning Genie 3 isn't stuck just creating one type of world. It can generate this, well, unprecedented variety of interactive environments. And it does it on the fly.
Okay, that's the bit that kind of blows my mind. It's not just generating videos like we've seen before. You can actually navigate these worlds
Yeah.
in real time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking smooth motion, 24 frames per second, 720p resolution.
It's crisp.
Yeah, and it holds together, stays consistent for minutes. That real-time interactivity, that's the massive leap forward here.
It feels huge.
It absolutely is. And, Google DeepMind didn't just stumble onto this. They've been working on simulated environments for, over a decade.
Right, they have long history here.
A deep history, training AI in games, developing environments for robots, open-ended learning. All that groundwork was essential for building these world models, these systems that sort of internally figure out how the world ticks so they can simulate it
So Genie 3 builds on that legacy.
directly. It follows models like Genie 1 and Genie 2. Those were foundational. They could generate new worlds for AI agents. And you also see progress in their video models like VO2 and 3, which show this amazing grasp of intuitive physics, how things should move and interact.
Okay, so the predecessors could generate worlds, and other models got good at video physics. But Genie 3 is the first that puts it all together with that real-time interaction and better consistency. That's the aha moment.
That's precisely it. The immediate responsiveness being in the generated world as it unfolds. That's what feels revolutionary.
Okay, so let's get into the nuts and bolts. What are the core things it can actually do? How does it react to me, the user, moving around?
Well, the fundamental thing is that reaction to your movements and actions live. But crucially, that influence sticks because Genie 3 has what's called world memory.
World memory. Okay, that sounds important.
It's incredibly important for feeling immersed. It
Yeah.
means that the place you're exploring stays consistent. Your actions persist. So, for example, if you paint something on a wall, that paint stays there. Even if you look away, wander off, and then come back, it remembers. You're not just walking through some pre-baked level that resets itself.
Yeah.
Everything is being generated live based on your exploration, and it remembers what happened, like the world's keeping notes.
That paint example makes it really clear. I can think of so many games where I wish that was true. Okay, so world memory handles the past. What about actively changing the world now? You mentioned something called promptable world events.
Exactly. This is another really cool capability. You can literally use text prompts to change the world around you on the fly.
Seriously, like what?
Like, make it rain, or introduce a new object, maybe even a character, just by typing it. It shifts things from just observing to, actively co-creating the world with the AI in real time.
Wow, that's a shift. And I bet for AI agents, this is incredibly powerful for training them.
Oh, absolutely. It directly enables what we call counterfactuals, what-if scenarios.
Right.
For an AI agent learning through experience, being able to explore, what if this happened? Or what if I did that instead without real-world risk?
Right.
That's invaluable. It helps them learn to handle unexpected things, develop more robust skills.
The range of worlds it can create seems staggering, too. You've mentioned it can do everything from realistic physics to, completely fantastical stuff.
Yeah.
Can you maybe give us a couple of really vivid examples? One showing off the physics, maybe,
Yeah.
and one that's pure imagination.
Sure. For physics, imagine you're seeing through the eyes of a robot navigating really tricky terrain, maybe a volcanic area.
Okay.
You'd see these chunky off-road tires crunching on black rock, trying to avoid pools of actual lava. Or think about being on a jet ski during a festival of lights. You'd see the water behave naturally, the lights reflecting realistically, complex stuff.
Yeah.
It can even simulate walking down a Florida street as a hurricane approaches, palm trees bending like crazy in the wind, waves crashing onto the road. It gets that dynamic
Like,
physics.
that's intense. And the imaginative side.
Right. Okay, so then switch gears completely. Picture like a super cute, fluffy creature, maybe bright purple, bounding across a rainbow bridge in some totally whimsical 3D animated world. Its fur ripples as it runs. Pure fantasy.
Hmm. Okay.
Or here's a wild one. Imagine a peaceful Irish landscape. Green hills, maybe a lake. Suddenly, the ground starts trembling violently. Whole chunks of land rip free, floating up into the sky.
Whoa.
And the lakes are suspended up there, spilling down like these huge, impossible waterfalls. It turns something serene into this surreal, epic transformation. It shows it can model stuff way beyond our reality.
Those examples really bring it to life. The detail, the dynamism.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But doing this in real time, with that world memory keeping things consistent, that must be a huge technical hurdle. How does it actually manage that? Especially compared to other ways of making 3D scenes.
It is a massive challenge, technically. The model has to generate each new frame, one after the other, right? Autoregressively. And it's always got to consider the whole history of what's happened so far.
Right, like that paint on the wall from a minute ago.
Exactly. If you go back somewhere after exploring for a minute, the model needs to pull up visual information from that far back. And it has to do all this computation multiple times a second, reacting to your inputs live.
That sounds computationally expensive.
It is. And, tiny inaccuracies can build up over time. But right now, Genie 3 keeps things pretty consistent for several minutes. And its visual memory, like we said, goes back about a minute.
Okay. And how's that different from, say, neurorefs? I've heard about those.
Right. Well, neural radiance fields, they usually work by reconstructing a static 3D scene from lots of 2D pictures. You can look around, but the scene itself isn't really changing or reacting dynamically.
Gotcha.
Genie 3's worlds are way more dynamic, much richer, precisely because they're generated frame by frame based on the description and your ongoing actions. It's not based on a fixed, predefined 3D structure. It's being created as you go.
Okay, so we've seen these incredible worlds it can create. But the really mind-bending part for me isn't just what it makes, but what it means.
Yeah.
Like, beyond games and cool demos, what's the potential impact outside of entertainment that gets you excited?
I think one of the most significant areas is definitely fueling research into embodied agents. Robots, basically.
Right. How so?
Well, you can use Genie 3 to train robots in incredibly diverse dynamic simulations before they have to operate in the messy real world. Think about practicing for dangerous situations, disaster response, emergency training. It's invaluable for that.
Safer and cheaper than real-world training for dangerous stuff.
Exactly. And we've already seen it used with Google DeepMind's Sima agent, that's their agent, designed to follow instructions across many different virtual worlds. Genie 3 lets Sima tackle really distinct, complex goals within these generated environments.
So it helps make smarter, more adaptable robots.
That's a big part of it. But if you zoom out, think bigger. Genie 3 could open up new ways to approach learning, agriculture, manufacturing, you name it. As AI pushes towards, AGI, artificial general intelligence, having tools like this to let agents pursue complex goals in controlled simulations becomes really critical.
So it's not just robots. It could be huge for human education and training, too. Students interacting with complex ideas, experts practicing skills in simulations that are too risky or expensive otherwise.
Absolutely. Imagine learning history by walking through a simulated ancient city, or surgeons practicing complex procedures. And you could also use it to really rigorously test AI agents, find their weaknesses in a safe space.
It sounds almost too good to be true,
Mm-hmm.
which usually means there are limitations, right? What are the current boundaries? You mentioned the action space for agents earlier.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean practically?
That's a fair question, and yes, there are definitely limitations currently. So the limited action space means that while the environment can change dramatically, often triggered by prompts, the range of direct actions the agent itself can perform within that world is still somewhat constrained.
Ah, okay. So the agent isn't necessarily the one causing the prompted events, they just happen around it.
Often, yes. Also, modeling really complex interactions between multiple independent agents in the same world simultaneously, that's still an ongoing research challenge.
Makes sense. What else?
Well, while it can create places that look incredibly real, it can't currently simulate, say, downtown London with perfect geographic accuracy. It generates plausible locations, not exact replicas.
Okay.
There are also some quirks, like rendering text can be tricky unless that text was part of the initial input. And importantly, the interaction duration is currently capped at a few minutes. You can't spend, hours continuously exploring the same generated world.
Yeah, got it. So still very much research frontier in some ways. And with tech this powerful, especially something so open-ended, the whole responsible development angle must be huge.
It's absolutely central. That's a core commitment for Google DeepMind. We work really closely with our internal responsible development and innovation teams specifically on this.
Because the real-time, open-ended nature throws them new challenges.
Exactly. The goal is always to try and amplify human creativity but limit any unintended negative consequences, which is why Genie 3 isn't just being released widely right now.
Right, you mentioned it's a limited preview.
Yes, it's being announced as a limited research preview. That means giving early access to a small group academics, creators, specifically to get their feedback, their different perspectives. It's about trying to build this responsibly, gathering diverse input from the start.
That makes a lot of sense. It really feels like Genie 3 is a massive step forward for these world models, for generative AI in general, the potential to change how we interact with digital information for education, training, maybe even exploring our own world.
Yeah.
It feels transformative.
It really does. And perhaps that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. How might these kinds of AI-generated, truly interactive worlds fundamentally change things? How we learn, how we create, how we connect with information, maybe even with each other in the years ahead. Just imagine the possibilities and, of course, the challenges that come with digital reality as becoming this dynamic and responsive.